Guys, to lesson 9. In this lesson we are going to learn how to do blending, layer blending, in particular film blending in this stage, in this lesson. So blends, if you're not familiar with different blending tools in Photoshop like multiply and screen and overlay, we're going to run through a few basic ones here. These are really handy little tricks to know when you want to blend an explosion over an image or some dust or some light leaks. This is basically how we do it in After Effects. We need to bring a few layers in to do that. So let's go over to our project folder here, and let's start a new folder, and we'll call this Effects Footage. Okay, now we go import. We're going to bring in three bits of film here that I'll explain what I mean by blending and how to use them appropriately. So go into our goodies folder, wherever you've saved that, tutorial goodies and effects footage. Let's bring all three of those in. So we've got dust, fire and light leak. These are three pretty common ones you'll see in a lot of film footage. Now open those. Alright, now let's get into our timeline and get rid of anything we don't need, like that text there. Now let's turn our film strip on and select it and bring it to the top so it's top of mind. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to create, we'll drag one of these bits of footage onto our current footage and blend it so it all looks like the same piece of footage. I think you'll know what I mean in a second. So let's start with light leak. This is a common one you'll see with a lot of videos, especially these days. It's a great way to tidy up or improve a boring shot, is to put a bit of light leak, especially on transition point between frames, as in one bit of footage meeting the next bit of footage. It's also good just for a bit of effect in general. So let's drag light leak onto here, onto our canvas. Now, what's going to happen if you scroll across light leak? You'll see that a little bit of light comes over, right? There's millions of these on YouTube, and there's probably some in our archive already, and they're pretty handy. You'll see what I mean in a second. So, alright, we can't see the layer underneath it at the moment. So what we're going to do is, let's just flick it to a point where it's about there. We'll go to these toggle switches here. Now remember, these turn off your transform controls and bring up a few more options. So we've got demo light leak here. We want to make that a screen layer. And you'll notice this list is familiar just as it is in Photoshop and After Effects, InDesign and whatnot, just how to blend different layers. If you don't know, screen is generally the one you choose to knock out blacks. Alright, so we go screen, and you'll see it's knocked out all the black components of what was in the footage and leaves us with just the white, which is great. So a lot of stock footage will be shot on black for that reason, so you can just sort of screen and drop it. And as we scroll along, you'll see our little light leak goes across the top of the video. This is a very handy little tool, very handy little skill to have, because it doesn't just stop at light leaks. You can do all sorts of cool things with it. If you're making action movies, this is how you would do explosions and sparks and whatnot. Basically just creating alpha channels, which is transparent background channels, through the use of either black or pre-keyed images, so they might be on a green screen or blue image. Fundamentally the same thing. So let's take that back to the start, and it's taking a while to render in this one. We'll let it sit there for a sec, but we'll see in a sec when it gets its act together that our light effects will come in. Let it render out. It might be a bit clunky at the start, but you'll get what I mean by the end. And not like any other film or effects layer, you can keyframe anything you want. You might want to just put a bit of opacity on it to get rid of it a little sooner. Just roll it out to 0 by there, for example. You can also do that, and there she goes. So that's one way. That's one example. Let's try some dust. Everyone loves a bit of dust, especially on commercial TV. You see a lot of dust layers. So let's get rid of that layer and bring on the dust. Put it over the top there. This one goes for a bit longer. This will be more effective on darker images, obviously. You can see what's going to happen here. There's just a whole bunch of dust particles. Good for atmosphere, good for logo reveals, good for, I don't know, vacuuming products perhaps, whatever. Just a cool little look. Let's select our layer and make sure these layers are available to us. But that brings our transform, that brings this. Brings up our balloon layers, and let's go screen. And as you can see, it leaves the dust and knocks out the black. So let's see if this renders in any quicker than the last time. Hit spacebar. It's rendering in slowly, but you get the idea. Very cool little effects. And I know what you're asking now. Can we blend the light leak in with dust? And the answer is, of course you can, because it's After Effects. You can do whatever you want. Make that screen. Feel free to try other effects there too. You might want overlay, for example, and it might give you another sort of harsher effect. Experiment away to your heart's content. I'd keep it on screen for this purpose of this though. Yep, and there she goes. A bit of dust and a bit of light leak. So that's basically how you blend effects footage over your main footage. Oh, don't forget the fire. Alright, we'll do the fire. Let's get the fire then. Bring the fire over onto the canvas. Drop it on the top. Select screen. And same thing again. A bit of fire. Again, it's probably going to work better on darker images or logo reveals. Just to make that point, let's turn off our film strip for a sec. Let's just pretend we've got a logo here, as demonstrated by this text layer that I'm about to make white. Lovely. Let's pop that in the center and turn off our caps key, so that can look pretty cool too. But yeah, fire does work over film strip as well. Perhaps not as well because there's a lot more black to knock out, and you can sort of tell that it's a bit of an overlay. But that's basically how you get started. Look, you can try as many. You might have some other options that work better for you than that. You might find it overlays your guy, or you might find that let's see, multiply, that's not going to do anything, it's just going to knock out everything but the black. So generally anything with a black logo, with a black background, will be minused by the screen layer. That's a really basic overview of how we blend images. Let's just get rid of fire for a sec because it's slightly distracting. We might also want to keyframe out the dust as well. The same thing applies. We might want to fade the dust in. It might be too much dust, so we can just unload our transform and just sort of run the opacity off a bit if you want. Not too much dust around food, it's not very appetising. There you go. That is how to blend footage layers on top of other footage layers. more handier on your finished art and your end of project sort of effects that you're running on your whole timeline, but nonetheless a pretty good effect.